So guys, you may see as part of this van tour that I seem to be changing clothes in and out, and that's just because I've done the van tour over two days. So yeah, let's get going then.
Take me away from home, show me all the places I've never known, and we'll
Hi guys, it's just me today. I thought I would run through our build conversion and what we did. Probably one of the most things you have to consider when doing a van build, I'm sure you'd have thought of this already, is the cost. Now for us that did play a factor into it, otherwise we'd have just gone out and bought a ready-made camper. But we can't afford the thousands and thousands of pounds that you can spend on a camper. So we bought a 2012 Peugeot Boxer professional van, and we carried out the conversion ourselves. There's a few things that you must consider when doing a project like this. Now for us, we don't live full time in the van. However, if you do, there are going to be some subtle differences that you may wish to consider. Those mainly being around the washing and shower toilet facilities that you may or may not decide to install. For us, we use this more as a recreational, leisure type vehicle. Unfortunately, I have a full-time job, and so does my wife Claire. So this is more about getting out and escaping and checking out new locations. So if you're on that road, this build may be for you. If you're on a living a van full-time path, you may need to consider some other bits and pieces. But I'll talk about them as we go along. So first of all, let's start with the exterior of the van. No change whatsoever other than applying the vinyl graphics that you may have seen, and a few little modifications on the headlights and roof rack up on top. So now if you've got access to a big machine shop with chop saws and routers and things like bench routers and things like that, then absolutely fantastic. For me, I had to do this outside in all weathers on my drive. So one of the main reasons we went for this model of van was because at the back we could fit a full-size double bed widthways, which was a must for us after spending some time in our previous van Hugo, the Nissan Promaster. Believe it or not, I know it's lazy, but believe it or not, moving the bed furniture out every evening and getting all the bedding on top become a bit of a chore. Or is it because we're getting old? I'm not too sure. When you build a van, take into consideration storage. You can never have enough storage, especially with Claire in her shoes. There you go. So the outside of the van, all I've done is added a roof rack to the top, so that I didn't have to put my solar panels fixed onto the roof. I wanted them to be on floating on the roof rack. I got that off an old Ford Transit, sanded it all back down, had to weld it in places to allow it to fit this van, and then put the solar panels on the top. So moving around to the back of the van, a new addition to the van, sorry about the wind, is this bike rack. So what I've done is I've mounted this onto the existing ladder. So on the inside, I suppose the most major modification we had to do was the seats, because it came with a bench seat. We didn't obviously want the bench seat, we wanted access into the back without having to get out the doors. So that was probably the biggest modification that we made. I kept the original seat bases. I then chopped the seat bases where I needed to, put some angle iron on top ready to receive the swivel plate for the driver's seat, and a very similar setup for the passenger seat. However, we didn't bother swiveling that one in the end. I'll talk about that on the inside. It's getting a little bit windy out here, so we'll go in the inside. So up the front, no real changes there. I did, however, put a, don't know if you see that down there, a drinks cup holder in at the bottom. And these two seats which didn't come as standard. So these were rescued out of a Jaguar. Found them on eBay. They looked comfortable, half leather, so we decided that we'd go for them. So this seat swivels, which is nice if you want to park up. You can swivel this seat around and stretch your legs over to the passenger side. But our actual eating area consists of 2 bench seats and then a table sat in the middle. You could go for the option of raising the floor here, lifting all this up, swiveling the chair and bringing all this forward, but for me this works perfectly. There's only 2 of us in this van, so I can swivel the driver's seat, stretch our legs out to the passenger seat. We can also walk straight through, and we've got our dining area and everything set up, no hassle whatsoever. The bench seat, this seat here, underneath that contains all the electrics, which I'll show you in a little while. And underneath this seat here is a big food drawer, big storage area that runs the width of the length of the bench seat. So great for our, again, storage people. It's all about storage. So we'll stay on that theme. Starting in the at the top there, there's a great void above the cabin area, so it's ideal for storage. And in there what we've got is our internal thermal blinds for the windows that we tend not to use that often, and the external blind, which again we don't really use. We have 2 cupboards up the top here and the obligatory map storage area, but we have 2 cupboards up the top here. We rescued some old caravan doors from a caravan breakers up here in Suffolk. Really good deal we gave us for, I think in the end we bought around 20 different doors. And all we did is we broke the doors down. I then got some leatherette, some grey leatherette, put that on the rear panel, and then painted the carcasses with some satin finished paint. So we followed that theme all the way through. So one of the big things we wanted in here was room for our clothing, so that if we was going away we didn't necessarily have to put a suitcase in here or box up any of our clothes. So this is a great big wardrobe. So I built this cubby hole. That's quite deep, but I can put my laptop and bits and pieces in there. It just keeps things nice and tidy, and a few magazines, and of course the obligatory Ludo board game, which is sitting up the top there. Storage here, again, old caravan door carcass, revamped, and then inside here is our tea making facilities and our plates, a few glasses and some coffee. The kitchen unit is all constructed around the SMEV 922 hob and sink. So the way I've done this is I've built a carcass and then clad the carcass in PVC sheeting. As you can see, that's the white bit on the outside, and same for the top up there, the white bit, using PVC sheeting. There's a drawer on the side here for all our bits and pieces in. The SMEV 922 sink, I would say this has got to be one of the best on the market, to be fair. Make sure there's no surprises under here. No, all that is our collapsible kettle. So lift up, tap, 12 volt feed down to your water pump. Simple. And 2-ring burner. So guys, you have to consider this when you're doing a self-build. If you're going to register your van as a camper van afterwards, then you must have at least a 2-ring burner installed in the camper van. The main reason for this van build, guys, was all for that. It was all for the bed being permanently made and for the storage you can get underneath. So for us, we can put all our camera gear into the back there, and then on the other side of that is what I call the little garage area. So the bed is a full-size double bed, and we wanted that permanent fixture into the van so we didn't have to make the bed every night, so that was a main driver to go for this setup. This is a full sheepskin blanket, which, let me tell you, came really handy when we were in Norway. The finish you can see on here is where you get a blowtorch and you just very lightly up and down until some of the details in the wood come out, and we really like that. It softens the look of the van and it keeps Claire happy, and that's what we did, the same on the table there. So as you can see, it just brings out some of the detail in the wood, really nice. And then we put a satin varnish over the top and kept that feature running throughout the van. Again, PVC panelling, just because it's quite durable, easy to wash down, and they come in again in a 8 foot by 4 foot length. They do them in different lengths, but for me I've got 2 sheets, one sheet of 8 foot by 4 foot for the green that you can see there, and on these panels here. So I used 1 sheet underneath the bed. Let's take a better look at that. There you go. Let's lift this out of the way. So 1 sheet there, cut the cubby holes out. The cutouts for both the cubby holes we then used for the seat panelling underneath, so that can protect the seats when you're getting in and out of there. And then all the little offcuts I've used, so I've got a bit underneath here, and I've used them for the pelmets that run down each side of the windows there. So that's quite an easy setup. These are domestic blinds that you can buy from absolutely anywhere. We've gone for the material that's used in showers and bathrooms. We've used that setup. We've used that setup throughout the van. So quite an easy way. What you might have noticed on the bottom of these particular blinds there is on our first outing, when we went out, the blind chattered against the back of the pelmet. It rattled a little bit. So all we used was a bit of the 15mm copper insulation foam that you can get. Run that along the bottom. Done. Problem solved. It actually doesn't look too bad either. And that's exactly the same for the other windows. Just used the pelmet to hold the blind back. It worked perfect. At the back there you can see a big, almost a duvet that's running across the back. That just acts as another thermal barrier, so we can roll that, untie the little belts there and roll that down the back, and that also acts as another thermal barrier for when it's really cold. I put that in, we used it twice over the winter period, and ever since then it's been rolled up. You may see on the side up the top there, there's a fan there, and there's one up here. On the roof over the kitchen and the forward part of the van, what we've used here is the same cladding that's now being used on the inside of your conservatories. So it's relatively inexpensive, and it measures 30 centimetres by 2 metres 40 in length. So I think to do this whole area we only needed three pieces. It just brightens up this living area at the front here. It's also very durable and easy to clean. And then at the top here, got a very small skylight, as you can see, just to bring a little bit more light in. If I could change one thing on this, I would probably put another skylight in down the bottom there somewhere. But again guys, it's all about the budget you've got, isn't it? Heating wise, we have a Chinese diesel heater. It's situated underneath there, and it's got a branch and another pipe that you'll just see there. comes off and comes out just there into that big cubby hole. Just keeps the bottom of the bed warm. So guys, thanks for watching our little van tour. I may do another few videos on the actual build itself, things to look out for, and maybe to help some of you guys out there if you're about to start a van build. I'll go through the solar system, the electrical wiring and such, and don't be afraid of it. It's not as bad as you think, and you can always have it checked out by a professional after your installation. So it's yeah, maybe we'll go through that, or maybe we'll just see you on the next adventure. So until then, all the best, take care on the roads, and we'll see you soon.